All right, so today we're going to flip the script on personality psychology. We hear so much about the darker side of human nature, right? But what about the best parts of us? The part that's compassionate, the part that trusts, the part that just sees the good in people. Let's dive in.
Okay, so here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll look beyond that familiar dark side we all hear about. Then, I'll introduce you to this thing called the Light Triad. We're going to break down its three main pillars, see what it actually looks like to live this way, and then, wrap it all up with what it means for you.
All right, first up, beyond the dark side. And really, the big question we're kicking off with is pretty straightforward. What's the actual opposite of a dark personality? It feels like we're always hearing about traits like narcissism or manipulation, right? They get all the airtime in our culture. But it really makes you wonder, what's on the other side of that coin? What does the positive end of the human spectrum actually look like?
Well, it turns out psychology has a new way of looking at this. It's like a new lens, a way to actually study and, define the best parts of who we are as people.
And that brings us right to our main event. Introducing the Light Triad. Think of it as a whole new perspective on personality. It's all about what makes someone, well, a good, caring person. So what is it exactly? Well, to put it simply, the Light Triad is this framework that really focuses on having a loving and genuinely good-hearted way of relating to other people. And this is key. It's not just about not having bad traits. It's about the active presence of good ones. Big difference. And you can see the difference so clearly when you put them side by side. The dark triad, that's all about self-interest, manipulation, and just a coldness towards people. But the light triad, it's the complete opposite. It's rooted in valuing others, in compassion, in real empathy. It's a huge shift from what's in it for me to what's best for us. Okay, so how does this loving orientation actually show up in real life? Well, the whole idea is built on three core components. Let's call them the three virtuous pillars. And here they are. First, you've got humanism. That's all about seeing the dignity and worth in every single person. Then there's something called Kantianism, which is a fancy way of saying you treat people, not like tools to get what you want. And finally, there's faith in humanity, just a basic belief that people are, deep down, fundamentally good. All right, let's dig into each of these a little more, because this is where the magic really is. First up, humanism. So humanism, at its core, is this really powerful idea. It's the simple belief in the dignity and worth of every single person. It means you see value in someone no matter who they are or where they come from. In real life, it's that gut instinct to help a stranger who's fallen down, just because they're a fellow human being who needs help. It's that foundational respect for people. Okay. Next up, we have Kantianism. Now, I know it sounds a little academic, but the idea is actually super practical. It's really just about seeing people, not as objects or tools to get you what you want. Like, think about a manager who actually cares about their team's personal growth instead of just seeing them as cogs in a machine to hit a target. That, right there, is Kantianism in action. And that brings us to the third and final pillar, faith and humanity. This one's pretty straightforward. It's the belief that, deep down, people are basically good. It's that tendency to trust others, to look for the best in them. For example, when someone cuts you off in traffic? Faith in humanity is assuming they just made a mistake, not that they're a terrible person trying to ruin your day. It's all about giving people the benefit of the doubt. So, what happens when you put these three things together? Humanism, Kantianism, and faith in humanity. What does that actually look like? Well, that's what we're going to get into right now. A brighter way of being. And this is so important. This isn't just some abstract theory. It has real, measurable effects on people's lives. So what is life really like for somebody who scores high on the Light Triad? Well, the research paints a really clear and, frankly, beautiful picture. Folks with strong Light Triad traits, they tend to report much higher levels of life satisfaction. They feel more compassion, more empathy, and they have a more positive view of themselves and of other people. It's basically a recipe for a more fulfilling, connected life. All right, let's bring it all home. What does all of this mean for you, and how can we spot this light in our day-to-day lives? When you get right down to it, the Light Triad is way more than just a cool psychological concept. It's a really useful framework. It gives us the words, the structure to see and understand, and maybe even encourage the very best parts of ourselves. The parts that help us connect, that lift each other up,
the parts that really do build a better world.
So, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. When you look at the world today, which view do you think is winning out? Is it a belief in people's fundamental goodness, like the Light Triad proposes? Or is it the opposite? And maybe more importantly, which one do you choose to live by? Thanks for tuning in.